What's going on, party people? Captain Zeus here, and I'm back with another review for you guys, and this is going to be over the recently released Star Wars Visions Season 3. Now, I will be going into some spoilers about it. I know I'm a little bit late here, so spoiler warning for those that haven't seen it yet. And if you like these reviews, please like and subscribe to show support to the channel, and let us know in the comments below your thoughts on Season 3 of Star Wars Visions, as well as Star Wars Visions as a whole. So let's get into it. Now, there were 9 episodes to this season. It's a mixture of episodes I like, don't like, and have mixed feelings about. I wrote some notes down about it while watching because they were too important to forget. So for the first episode, it was the Duel Payback. Now, a lot of these episodes are sequels to previous episodes of previous seasons. This one is the sequel to the infamous dueling episodes from season 1, and man, was it so good. We had a clean 2D with 3D mix for the animation that looks so good, especially just how it was in the first season. And I think the noir grainy look helped keep the vibes so classical and so well, because I think if it was super colorful, it wouldn't have had the same effect. And I liked the color that we did see. It was very specific and elemental, much like in Star Wars Legacy, how each lightsaber color represented a specific person or a specific characteristic of the Jedi Order. We had something similar to that in this episode, much like the first Duel episode as well. And while watching this, I definitely got like an old school movie vibe from it, like old Japanese movie vibe. I loved like the potential romance that was brewing between the Sith Hunter and Sith, because you could tell they were like kind of bonding throughout, and it was pretty cool. Like, I would love a full series of this. Out of all the ones that deserve a full series, it's this one. No other one, in my opinion, should be getting one before it. So I would honestly say this was probably one of, if not the best episodes of the season. Now, the second episode, it's like a complete 180 from the first episode. So it's called The Song of Four Wings, and man, I was not a fan of it in the slightest. The animation was not that good. It would have been better if it was 2D and like really colorful, but this crappy 3D animation reminds me of early 2000s or mid 2000s Cartoon Network animation. And the weird thing was, there was glimpses of good quality 2D animation like the one I referenced just a few moments ago in there, but they were only referenced or used in flashbacks, which was so weird. Like, it didn't make any sense. And something you'll notice throughout this review is there was a trend of really crappy CGI and 3D animation being put into either really high quality 2D animation or just episodes in general that did not fit. Also, the electronic soundtrack for this did not work. I don't know who composed it, but man, it was like they had no idea what the story was. Now, the worst thing is every season has at least one cutesy episode that's absolutely garbage, but it does have at least one that is good. It's just not this one. Now, the next episode is called The Ninth Jedi, Child of Hope. It's a sequel to the Ninth Jedi episode from previous seasons. This one is confirmed to have a full season coming out soon, which I personally am not a fan of. I think the story is okay. I'm not a fan of it because of this episode. Now, besides the fact that there is absolutely garbage CGI in there that makes no sense for it with the character models and high quality 2D animation they have in there. Like, that aside, which is a big element of it, by the way, the main character was just full plot armoring. Like, if people dislike Star Wars The Last Jedi movie with Leia dying or not dying in space, then there's no reason why they should be liking this episode, because Homegirl is not only getting sucked into space with no protective suit and still hanging on and being okay, but as soon as her full body leaves the ship, then all of a sudden she has a protective suit on to keep her alive in space. It had no oxygen tank or anything on. It was just the shield. Also, I didn't even know she had that on her, nor was that an element that seemed to have been brought up at all to be noticed. So it was like a weird plot armor moment for it that was just really in your face. And a big part of the first episode, or the original episode, that made this such a unique story were the lightsaber colors. The unique part of the lightsabers is the fact that once you activate the lightsaber, it changes color depending on the person and depending on what side of the force they're on, basically. So that's why at the end of the original episode, everybody that you thought were Jedis, when they used the lightsaber, it was all red, because they weren't. So that element was one of the best, if not the best aspect of this, and something so unique that I would have loved to see explored, and they explored none of that in this episode. Instead, it was a complete filler episode about her meeting a robot, and in 5 minutes apparently getting attached to it so much that she has PTSD over it, which makes no sense because she didn't actually see anything happen to the robot. Although Tito, the robot, is super adorable. He's like the best. He wields her lightsaber perfectly fine, and when she does wield it, it's the exact exact same color as hers when she wields it, which makes no sense because the whole purpose of the lightsabers is that it's distinguished to each person. Like it's the kyber crystal is specifically per person. Now, it's been a while since I've seen it, so I could be mistaken. Please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But that is another huge plot hole that makes no sense. So honestly, that episode, I wish I hadn't have seen. It was so pointless. It didn't really add anything to the actual story of the Ninth Jedi. Now, the third episode wasn't that bad. It was called The Bounty Hunters. It was a pretty simple story, you know, a bounty hunter turning on her contractors. The animation wasn't bad. It was a pretty enjoyable but yet predictable story. Now, one thing that kind of made me like raise an eyebrow over is she kind of made a big deal about wearing this mask throughout the whole episode. Like in her flashback, she's not wearing it. In this one, she is. So I'm thinking, oh, she has like a really bad scar, or it's like actually not a mask. It's like cybernetic. But no, when her mask comes off, it's revealed that she's wearing lipstick. Like, I don't know. It was weird. It's like, so she's just more attractive. That's why she has the mask on. That makes no sense. Like, what was the whole purpose of this big reveal of the mask coming off? There was none. Like, there was literally no point to it. So that was one of the elements of the story that just made no sense as to why they made a big deal out of it when there was no big deal. But the fact that her, what was it? I think it was the nursing droid, the medical droid having a split personality, I thought that was a cool element to the story. It kind of made things a little bit more unique. But other than that, I mean, it wasn't anything too crazy. It was all right. I wouldn't want to watch a full series of it, but it was nice. It was a nice change of pace compared to the last episode, at least. Now, episode 4 gave me a lot of questions. It was called Yukos Treasure. Now, my first question was, why the freak does every story, it seems, especially these vision stories, take place on Tatooine? The galaxy is vast. There are tons of planets out there. There's tons of planets explored in the movies. Why does so many stories seem to take place on Tatooine? It's not that important, but this one does take place on Tatooine. Now, you know how I said earlier that there's always one bad and one good cutesy episode? Well, this is the good cutesy episode. Animation was awesome. I fell in love with the main characters, Yuko, and I can't remember the little dude's name, but also the bear robot. I all three of them. I was like, yes, protect them with your lives. These are the precious. My precious. The story was super enjoyable. The animation was clean. Now, there was another question that I had about the story when the little dude, when he gave the information to the bounty hunters, like, hey, we found what you're looking for, and they revealed their plans to the kid, they just kind of let him go. I don't think I know any bounty hunter that would let a kid go after revealing their plan, unless it was deliberately to lure them into a trap, which that's not the case in this episode. So it made no sense for that to happen, and he didn't exactly sneak away either. He just ran away from them right in front of their faces. So that was such a dumb part of the story, but it did make them seem more like Team Rocket, I guess. And I don't know if that's what they were going for. Oh, also Darth Billy, the teddy bear, Darth Billy. Love it. I need to see the return of Darth Billy. Darth Billy versus Darth Jar Jar. I'd love to see that fight. Sign me up. But this is one of those episodes I would really like to see a full series of. I think this would be great, especially for kids. If you're trying to introduce Star Wars to a younger audience, I think this episode, making this into a full series, would be a really good way to go. Now, as we get into the latter parts of this season, things do start to get a little interesting, but also, you know, it piques your interest a little bit more. Episode 6 is titled The Lost Ones, and this is a sequel to another episode, if I recall correctly, from season 2. I think it was the one where the Jedi Padawan like went to go save this princess or whatever from being sacrificed at this village on this random planet, whatever. But there was a really interesting concept that was added into this, and the concept as a whole is not that interesting. It's the specific part of it, but there was carbonite mining. That was, to my knowledge, never something that's been explored. I've always wondered, how is carbonite created? Like, where does it come from? And it's being mined, and that's a cool thing that they added into it. Granted, they're tying it into the super overused and cliched drying a planet's resources dry and it explodes or implodes on itself trope, and that's whatever, but the carbonite mining aspect to it does make it a little bit more interesting, because instead of like the planet like exploding, people are getting frozen in carbonite. The two side characters that get saved have like pure carbonite, which when used could cause like that to happen, the explosion of people being frozen. And I think that's a nice concept that I would like to see them try to explore more in the future. Maybe not like on a full scale level, but just in general aspect. Now, something that was common throughout just a lot of these episodes, but this episode specifically makes a lot of references to regular canon, and considering knowing kind of where it takes place, I could see it take place in canon, just further expanding on the story of the Empire era. But also at the same time, it's wild how we've had 3 seasons of Visions and 99% of the stories take place within that Empire era, which is something I've been very vocal about on this channel. Is with Star Wars, there is thousands of years of lore that you can explore, but for some reason Disney wants to stay confined between episodes 3 and 4, and it doesn't make any sense. Like, yes, there's some great stories that can come from it, but we've only had one show about Clone Wars, and that was vastly more interesting than the Empire era, event-wise. And there's also all the stuff before the Republic, Old Republic, or the High Republic. So it's just an annoying thing to me. This is pet peeve where it keeps taking place within that same time frame. There was also some really out of place CGI in this episode. It's not even like they were trying to hide the quality of it. Like, it was just really bad. But one thing to kind of, I'm not balance it out per se, but one cool aspect about this episode is the fact that you could see each Jedi fighting style whenever the Jedi was fighting her old master. Like, you could see the specific stances and movements for it that became so synonymous with just the OG content. And that's something I really liked about some of the episodes, is that the lightsaber battles, you could see the specific fighting styles for it. I wish that was explored a little bit more, to be honest. Now, the next episode, The Smuggler, was not bad, honestly. I did enjoy it a bit. It was more of a unique story. The animation was nice, and the character design was pretty good as well. One thing that was cool was the Granny Jedi, she gets revealed at the end to be the Granny Jedi. And I thought at first she was an android, but she was just like, kind of reminds me of not the librarian, that wasn't her title, but like the record keeper from the prequel trilogy from that era. I can never remember her name, but she reminds me of her a little bit. I know she's dead, but she's not. But that was cool. Also, the fact that her lightsaber just pops out of her prosthetic hand, so smooth. That's such a good idea. Never would have thought of that. But I would say, like, overall, that was probably like my second or third favorite episode of this season. Besides, like, the dual Payback and Yukos Treasure and The Smuggler, this episode, all 3 of those are like my top 3 of this season, without question. The rest of them aren't even close. I could see this being very much a story super similar to Rebels if they did do a full series of it, but I'm okay with that, honestly. Now, episode 8, the second to last, I had some mixed feelings about it. Was not a fan of it at first, but it kind of grew on me because of the story, and I'll tell you why. So the animation itself, not too much of a fan. It reminds me of some kind of anime cutscenes from like an anime game cutscene, and it's all CGI. It's like all 3D animated, and I'm really not a big fan of 3D animated stuff. There is a very small amount of content that is 3D or CGI that I actually enjoy, and this is not one of them, to be honest. But the story itself is kind of what got to me, kind of warmed me up a little bit. And also the animation itself, it was smoother than at least previous episodes or in general, and it was more polished, and it's like there wasn't 2D in there to mix in. 3D was all their focus, so it was more polished. But I do like the story itself, the concept of the hot-headed Padawan, who goes blind and has to find another way to see. It's a trope that's been done, not necessarily with Padawan, but just like Apprentice. It's a trope that's been done before, and it's always been a pretty good story. I love seeing those kinds of stories. The story of not necessarily redemption, but of just growth, and especially in a short time frame where you need to grow. And this was definitely one of them, because she needed to survive. And I liked how it was delving into the fact that she was going to see through the Force, and it was as if she was seeing regularly, but just slightly different. And it makes me think, like, hey, is this how Kanan saw? Is this how Kanan Jarrus saw in Star Wars Rebels? Like, he was just seeing through the Force like that, which is a cool concept. I really do enjoy that. Now, each day, I think it was like every minute or so, you get to see another day, and each day of survival for her, there was a different lesson for her to be learned, which was cool. And I think it was like each one of them had like a specific message that coincided with the lesson learned in that as well. I'm not too sure. They kind of went by pretty fast. But the Toad, he popped in for like 5 seconds, already like my favorite character of the episode. Freaking funny. Loved him. Granted, there was only like 4 characters, and he was one of them. So one last thing about it would be like the visual conflict between someone's inner darkness and achieving true peace, so to speak. It was a nice touch, especially at the end. I really liked how it worked. And I feel like with this character, especially with her being female and being super hot-headed, I think it wouldn't have worked with any other type of character, that last fight scene. I think with this specific character, it worked so well, and I did enjoy it. It's the battle that you always see people have in in their heads on the outside, but you never see what the actual battle is. So it was nice to see that actually happen, and it was cool. It was cool to watch, I won't even lie. The emotional aspect at the end was pretty good. Now the last episode, my goodness, it's called Black. I was tripping balls. First of all, classic jazz soundtrack had me in love, but it wasn't used enough. I needed more of it. But honestly, the animation and art style was so wild, I could not follow what was going on throughout half of that episode. I was so confused. At first, I thought this was a story about Death Troopers, and I'm like, oh dude, they're going dark with this. I'm into it. Show me what you got. But it wasn't Death Troopers. It was definitely a stormtrooper with one arm, but I don't know. I think he was trying to like survive, or was also rebelling against the Empire, or it was so weird. I don't know. I'll be completely honest with you. I have no idea what the plot of that episode was. I don't think there was a plot. I mean, at the end, you can see the ruins of the Death Star on the bottom of, I think it was like Hoth. I don't know, it was a snowy area, but that's it. Like, it was a super trip fest. Like, if you get high and you watch that episode, you're gonna be tripping. But I genuinely could not tell you what that episode was about. Maybe it was just internal brain damage. I don't know. It made no sense. I don't know what I was watching. I found myself wanting to look away a lot because it was just so obnoxious, and I just couldn't follow it. I couldn't follow. If someone knows what that is, what that episode was about, please let me know in the comments below. I would love a plot to that. But I mean, that's just my thoughts on each episode here. If I had to rate the season, I'd probably give it a 6.5 out of 10. It's a shame with Star Wars Vision its potential that it has, because it's an anthology series, non-canon, where each studio has one episode that's not even 30 minutes. Half of these are like 10-15 minutes, and they're giving us either crap animation or lame stories, or really bad sequel stories, except for the Duel. The Duel's the only one that's consistent. What's going on here? Like, why does it seem like you're rushing it or not giving a crap about it? Where's the good quality stuff? I know there's fans out there that could probably do better than this. That might be a bit of a stretch, it might be a harsh thing to say, but it's true. Like, with companies making this much money and having this much access to the lore, or lack thereof, I mean, it's not like they need it. Like, they could do whatever. Half of these stories each season are bad. It's weird. It's weird that consistently each season, at least half of the episodes suck. I don't know why. I don't know why. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below on Star Wars Visions Season 3. And let me know what your favorite episode was. I'm Captain Zeus, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.